Here it comes. Gates are opening. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Wow. Now, what's it gonna do down here? They've still got a little bit of debris down there at the tail race. Quite a bit of brown water there at the beginning of the canyon. Still nothing down here yet. Takes a while to get down to the bottom.
Big hole.
Yeah, oh, you gotta fill they gotta fill the splash pool up. We've got a couple of pools to fill up. The first plunge pool is already filled and overflowing, and then there's a second pool about midway filling up right now before it starts flowing out the tail. Hear the volume of the water getting louder, and here it comes out the tail. Now it's got to fill up this pool here before it pushes the last bit of debris into the diversion pool. Here it comes. Filling up quick and flowing over now. Here it comes back into the diversion pool. Made it. So with 3 different pools, the water's got to work its way through before it gets to the diversion pool. That does help slow down that water flow. But look at it eat away that rubble now. Look at it go. Look how fast that's moving. That material. It's gonna carve that pool right out right away. Oh, look, it's flowing over here too now. It's gonna be pouring out of everywhere. Yeah, it's gonna start moving a lot of material over there. Yes. Here comes the muddy water. So they're ramping this up to 40,000 CFS. I'm not sure what flow we're looking at right now, but they want to quickly get it up to 40,000 CFS and leave it there to get the water to fly off the end of the busted spillway and into the initial plunge pool. Anything less than 40,000 CFS tends to erode at the face of the busted spillway, causing head cutting. So to that extent, they've kind of like lost the ability to throttle the spillway. I mean, they can throttle the gates whatever they want to, but they want to just turn it on and turn it off right at 40 to 50,000 CFS. We got the full briefing from Bill Croyle this morning, and I'll give you the details on exactly what the plan is here shortly. Based on the amount of debris that's flowing back into the Thermalito diversion pool now, I think it's a darn good idea they shut down the Hyatt power plant during this first reopening of the spillway. Protect that power plant at all costs. Right now they got the Thermalito diversion pool level at a perfect 225 feet, but I can see it's going to go up right away with that material right there. Because remember, you can't run the Hyatt power plant or any power plant if the exhaust ports are plugged up. And if the thermal diversion pool rises just a few feet, it'll start plugging up those exhaust ports to the Hyatt power plant. Looks like they've opened her up a little bit more. 1124. On their way up to 40,000 CFS. Okay, just got word that flow at present is 24,700 CFS. So a little more than half of what they want to throttle this thing up to. That's going to be a hell of a flow. So as they throttle up the spillway, they check each monitoring station before they continue to increase the level each notch. Well, it's 12 noon now. The things have been flowing for about an hour, and look at that incredible geyser coming out of the plunge pool. They continue to ramp up the flow up towards 40,000 CFS. The water is somewhat cleared up, indicating they're down to bedrock and it's fairly well stabilized. And down here at the diversion pool, still lots of material getting moved around down here. They're going to have a pretty good cleanup when they shut this thing off in 3 or 4 days, but not near as big a cleanup as the first time. So it's about 1 o'clock now on the 17th. They've been flowing for 2 hours, and that's 40,000 CFS flow. They were able to ramp that up in just under 1 hour, from 0 to 40,000 CFS in just under an hour. The water's flowing pretty clean and pretty clear. On the top side, it's still quite a bit of material got moved down here at the bottom. And we don't know what the level of the diversion pool is here. It looks like it's raised a bit to me, but we'll know more later. And that's the way she's going to flow, hopefully, for 3 to 5 days. One big final test. Is she going to hold? Here she is now at 50,000 CFS. Not quite there yet? It looks pretty impressive from here. What was the schedule? Okay.
1 minute they would start, but I'm pretty sure.
That looks like 50 CFS. That's a lot of water. And remember too, the original design specification for this spillway was a maximum of 160,000 CFS. So 1/3 of its original design capability. And also remember that spillway width, 178 feet. That's about 4-lane freeway width wide. 50,000 CFS, the final throttle setting. This is the setting they're going to want to hope to run with for the next 4 or 5 days. It's Thursday, the 17th of March. Welcome to the historic grand reopening of the main Oroville spillway here at Oroville Reservoir. As Bill Croyle just said in the press briefing, the world is watching, and we're rewriting the rules on how we manage our aging infrastructure and dams and spillways around the world based on what is happening right now at Oroville. The water's flowing right now at 40,000 CFS. That's the rate that they want to flow the water at this time. And they're going to run it for about 3 to 5 days at this rate. It took them just under an hour to ramp this thing up from 0 to 40,000 CFS. And the water now is looking pretty clear, yet a lot of debris that was still at the base of this spillway has been shoved back out into the diversion pool. So remember when we were talking about the dreaded yo-yo effect? Well, that's the new plan A. That's the new normal here at Oroville. The basic plan is to operate this spillway at 3 to 5 days, shut the spillway down, clean out the debris, and then reopen it again as necessary through the spring runoff season. And they're estimating possibly as many as 3 separate times they may have to go through this exercise. In order to protect the Hyatt plant at this time, they have shut down the Hyatt power plant. And it looks to me like the water level has risen slightly here in the diversion pool. Remember, this water level needs to be maintained at a perfect 225 feet in order to keep that power plant flowing. The Hyatt power plant has been up and operating and flowing at about 12,000 CFS. But right now, again, the power plant is off and they're just spilling through the spillway at a rate of 40,000 CFS. That number, 40,000, is important because that allows the water to fly off the edge of the spillway into the plunge pool. Any less than that slows that water down and continues to erode the face of the spillway and create erosion or head cutting. Any more than 40,000 CFS and you continue to create more damage down here on the already damaged lower half of the spillway. So 40,000 is the estimated optimum performance of this spillway. In other words, they've lost throttle control of this spillway. It's kind of an on-off switch right now, on or off at 40,000 CFS. So on for 3 to 5 days, 4 to 5 days, off, clean it out as the reservoir rises back up. They want to drain this reservoir down to about 835 feet. Right now it's at 864 feet. Remember, 835 feet is the minimum elevation they can lower the lake to prevent scouring of this inlet to the main spillway. So that's about as low as the main spillway can get the lake down to, is about 835 feet. We've had a great break in the weather, and the flows, inflows have been fairly manageable at about 17,000 CFS at the present time. The reservoir level peaked out at 864 feet. They removed, in the last 2 weeks, they've been able to remove over 1.25 million cubic yards of material out of this diversion pool right here. When they get the lake level back down to 835 feet or so and they shut this main spillway off, they're going to continue to they'll refire up the Hyatt power plant and use the Hyatt power plant outflow and outflows from the Thermalito forebay and afterbay to maintain a constant flow in the Feather River and minimize jerking around the water levels in the Feather River downstream. While they were cleaning the debris out of the diversion pool here and placing it up on 2 big benches up there by the emergency spillway, they also finished up work on the emergency spillway, on armoring that up. And they also did quite a bit of work on the main spillway, including some pretty serious rock bolting to ensure that what remaining parts of the upper spillway are securely bolted to the rocks, including some of the walls. The left wall was starting to show some signs of movement. So a lot of rock bolting got done, and as you saw from the pictures, a lot of grouting of the leading edge of the spillway was accomplished. And of course they patched and filled every single crack they could find in the upper portion of that spillway in an effort to keep this spillway operating on this temporary basis for now. Without the use of this main spillway, they would be in a world of hurt. So crews are only just 2 weeks out from coming up with 2 finalist designs for the final fix on this spillway. They're going to run with 2 final designs and run those through scheduling and see which one of those 2 makes the most sense. They've also got a lot of work done improving the haul roads in the local area. They're also developing or setting up a rock crushing plant and a concrete batch plant in preparation for the fix of this spillway. The fisheries reported that there's been no major fishery losses downstream, and they plan on releasing a couple million salmon here soon. Cost right now for the month of February, they ran up a bill of about $100 million at a rate of about average $4.7 million per day. Of the winning designs they come up with, it may involve a spillway that can handle a much lower flow rate than was the original design of this spillway. And to that extent, I'm concerned that Oroville Reservoir may become a much smaller reservoir than that which we've become accustomed to. In other words, the flood control levels for Oroville Reservoir may be substantially different than the flood control levels we've seen to date. As to what caused this disaster, again, forensics teams are just now being formed and beginning to look. And one problem is a lot of the forensic evidence has been washed right down the river. Bill Croyle insists at this time that all the procedures were followed per the plan, and now we've got to go back and review, are those procedures correct? In other words, this disaster is going to rewrite the books of how we manage our infrastructure, our aging infrastructure in California and around the world. So in 4 or 5 days, after they shut off the main spillway here, we'll take a look at this diversion pool and see how much material gets dropped into here and how big a job they got to clean it all out again. I'm sure it'll be a lot smaller job than the job they just accomplished. And in 2 weeks, we'll take a look at the winning designs for what they're going to do for the temporary / permanent fix of this main spillway here at Oroville. Stay tuned. See you here. Scenes look at my highly mobile tactical citizens reporting unit, the Rally Raid Honda CB500X adventure bike conversion with power source to power your electronics, of course wireless access, GPS, a backpack full of water and snacks, everything you need to find the story and stay on it quickly.